Hi there, I'm First Warn 5, Meteorologist Mike Nicco. Let's start off with some good news. The strongest of the storms are moving out rather quickly. We have some leftover showers behind it, which won't be nearly as strong. Just add to some of the rain that we needed as it was getting a little dry out there. And then we're going to talk about more storms possible tonight and tomorrow, maybe down the same path, maybe with the same results, and then more storms as we get deeper into the forecast. So let's jump right in and let's take a look at what's going on with the radar. And you can see the strongest of the storms now exiting our southernmost counties, and they're going to continue to move away, but there's still some light showers behind it. Notice there's no more orange, no more yellow, just green from Harrisonville down to Garnett, Butler, over towards Clinton. And that's going to move out, say, in the next hour or so, maybe hour and a half, and then we will drop the first warn as no more impactful weather will be coming through. And I put the clouds on there so you can see how quickly the clouds are dissipating, and I think we'll have a nice rebound in temperatures, and with that additional moisture, it might be a little sticky as we head into the afternoon hour. So let's go on down there and show you that lightning is still one of the bigger threats out of these storms. Even once the strongest storms pass, we still have lightning as far north as Paola and over towards Garden City in Missouri. So you need to remember that. That is still going to be impactful through about 3 o'clock. I would say maybe 3:30 at the latest. Good news, look at this. Storm reports, none. Unfortunately, some adverse effects of the storms, yeah. Chiefs training camp, of course, we had to postpone that or stop it. And it made it rather slippery for a lot of us, and some of our outdoor activities were postponed for just a little bit, which we expect this time of the year. Rainfall amounts, not high enough, not enough water to cause anything other than some localized ponding, anywhere from about 1/3 to an inch, radar estimated out of this. So moving through the rest of today, remember we've got more chances tomorrow and again this weekend. Moving through the rest of today, we'll drop the first warn at 3 o'clock. We'll keep a 30% around just for our southeastern most neighborhoods. As you head towards the Ozarks, you would have the best chance. This is what it looks like outside. Some clouds, but they're starting to thin out already. Temperatures holding in the low to mid 70s now through about 2 o'clock, 78 at 3 o'clock, and then when the sun comes out, and it's not too late at 4, 5, and 6 for the temperatures to rebound back into the low to mid 80s, and it'll feel a little bit warmer than that thanks to the extra moisture in the air. A good byproduct, air quality today, little or no risk. It is now clean thanks to that rain. And if you're heading out to the Monarchs, why not? It's going to be fun out there. Temperature around 83 to begin and down to 79. So that'll be pretty comfortable. All right, so let's move ahead, and we've got a first warn for what could happen tonight. All right, did this morning's storms this afternoon overachieve? Yep, they definitely did. We expected them to fall apart as they reached Kansas City. Instead, they stayed together. There was no indication anywhere that that was going to happen. None of the models, none of the forecasts, everything we looked at said, this is going to run into a roadblock around Interstate 70. And it just blew right through that roadblock like you were seeing a car chase on TV. So when we watch this tonight, let's talk about the possibilities. All right, so let's go through. Oh, I jumped a little bit ahead there. Let's go through and take a look at what could happen tonight. We'll start at 10 o'clock. Because you can see everything's cleared out by then, but we're going to watch storms develop again to our north, over Nebraska, over Iowa, and you can see them pushing into the northwest corner of Missouri right around St. Joe at 4 in the morning. Well, that's pretty good. If you think it's 4 in the morning, then it may be out of here. It should be in time for Chiefs practice. It'll just be soggy field and a little bit of humidity you'll have to deal with as practice rolls on and the sun starts to come out. All right, let's go through time here and watch as this rolls down 29 through, more likely, eastern Kansas. Now, the storms this morning built back into Kansas more than they were supposed to, so these could build forward into Missouri more than they're supposed to also. So this is just what could possibly happen. The storms could be a little bit farther to the east, could be a little bit farther to the west. So that's what we're going to try to figure out over the next couple hours before we bring you another update, whether it's here or on TV starting at 3:30. And you can watch these storms roll right through Kansas City during the morning commute. And that's why we have a first warn for tomorrow. These storms, if they do come through at this time, will have a much greater impact on Kansas City than the storms we had this morning because they came through, midday, so to speak. And, people are trying to get out and about, run errands for lunch and stuff, but it's not the morning commute. It's not the most highly traveled time of the day. So let's take a look at the Chiefs forecast, and then we'll roll on to other forecasts after that. There's a 30% chance of some lingering showers as we head through 9 o'clock, 9:15 when camp starts, and then that should be it. And that's going to get rather toasty. Tomorrow the heat is on. It is going to be almost excessive, and it's definitely going to be uncomfortable. Even at the Chiefs camp by 12 o'clock when it's 89, heat index will be well into the mid-90s by that time. So let's talk about tomorrow. You can see the lows already warm in the low to mid-70s. So we're springboarding off temperatures that are around 4 to 5 degrees warmer than average. And once the storms pass through, if they pass through earlier, we could rebound to about 90 here in Kansas City, maybe 92 in St. Joe. Temperatures in the low to mid 90s everywhere. So kind of like today, depending on when those storms roll through, they'll have a little bit of an effect on the temperature. The earlier they roll through, the less likelihood that is going to be very great. Like today, it's knocking a good 5 to 6 degrees off our high temperatures today, maybe even more than that in some spots. We were thinking mid to upper 80s. Now we're thinking just mid 80s for highs this afternoon. In some areas, even in the low 80s, where the storms are going to exit last, like around Clinton, Butler, and Lacine. So with that in mind, let's talk about how much humidity is going to hang around. And you can see we're in the muggy category all 7 days. So we need a trigger. We know we've got one tonight into tomorrow morning, but we've also got some other triggers coming as we head into the weekend. And as we head into the weekend, the heat index tomorrow will be near 100. The heat index Friday, 106. That's getting into that excessive territory that we had back in July. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Weather Service issues some kind of advisory for temperatures in the middle 90s Friday and heat index values, or heat indices, if you will, around 106. Now, it could be 104 on Saturday. Notice Sunday and Monday, we're dropping that as temperatures are going to drop because the rain chances are increasing Saturday night, Sunday, and into Monday. Here's the potential rainfall of the storms Thursday, and if anything does fall on Friday, there's a chance we could see storms develop in Nebraska and Iowa again. They could get close to us Friday. Right now, we're kind of holding off on saying whether we're going to have anything impactful from that. Right now, it doesn't look like it. But the storm track, again, is going to come down from the north. Storms are going to be weakening, 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch out of these storms. Something we'll keep an eye on. Will they overachieve? We'll know as soon as we get a little bit more data. In fact, some of the best data is coming out right now. That's why that 3:30 show is always a great show, because it has the newest data coming out from the models. All right, now look at through Monday. Significantly more rain. That means the weekend, with those warmer temperatures and those higher amounts of humidity in the air, are going to produce more rain. They're going to be efficient at producing rain, possibly up to an inch, maybe 1.5 inches in some isolated areas. Now we have a chance Saturday morning, as you look at this radar, maybe in the central part of the state. All right, let's stop that. Looks like there were no pause points in there. So let me go back and I'll just run this manually. So I'm going to turn away from you just a second so I can see what I'm doing. All right, so here we go. So Saturday morning, you can see maybe something comes through and then it's gone. And that will help knock the temperatures down in central Missouri. The farther west you are, the more sunshine, the more likely you're going to hit the mid-90s once again with that heat index, or that feels like temperatures you saw around 104. Now going into the overnight hours, could we get a cluster of storms developing to our north, coming down and touching more of our neighborhoods? It's that type of pattern, the same one we're kind of seeing right now. We're right on the edge of the storm track. And as it comes through Sunday morning, some of those could be strong and close to severe. So something we'll keep an eye on. Those pass through. And then Monday morning, rinse and repeat, right? Another cluster goes down. What's hard about forecasting these, they're called MCSs, mesoconvective systems, or an MCV, one that has a little more spin on it, has a little bit stronger rotation, and causes a little bit greater damage if it does get up to severe levels. What is so hard about these is you're trying to forecast where this cluster is going to develop and where it's going to go and what's the weather going to be like once it's traveling down this journey so you know how strong it's going to be, or if it's going to maintain its strength, if it's going to pulse up and become stronger. So that's what happened with last night's storm, and we're seeing the same kind of storm track over the weekend. The difference being the humidity will be higher and the temperatures will be higher, so there'll be more energy in the atmosphere, and it's more likely that some of these could be severe during those morning hours. And then by Monday evening, you could see the cold front starting to move through right there along Interstate 35, the dividing line between lighter showers and nothing. That is the final push of storms for this go around. And that's the one where we could get up to around an inch to an inch and a half of rain. So let's round out this update by taking a look at our Security Bank 7-day forecast. Still got a first warn for the next couple of hours for today. First warn tomorrow for the morning commute for those storms. Temperature 90 now because we're going to have a better chance of morning storms. But then look at Friday and Saturday, mid-90s. Look at those lows, mid-70s. Yep, air conditioner is going to be running full throttle once again those 2 days. And then the storm Saturday night into Sunday could knock the temperature down to 88 Sunday. And that theoretically would leave just a little bit less energy in the atmosphere for the storms Monday. But right now, we're going to put the storms as being more widespread Monday and having a greater impact, especially possibly during the morning commute if these do come in during the overnight hours again. So that's why the first warn is out for that. And that's how quickly things can change. Yesterday, we really didn't have a first warn for anything, but we told you we were watching Thursday morning and we were watching Sunday and Monday. Well, new data came in and we no longer need to watch. We have made a decision that, yeah, we're going to have a first warn for Thursday, especially in the morning, and Monday, especially in the morning, because of the impact of these storms that are going to be rolling through. All right, so that's our update for now. I appreciate you tuning in. No more severe weather today. We'll keep an eye on tomorrow's. Tomorrow, we're not supposed to have severe weather out of those storms, but something, again, we'll keep an eye on. And then the potential over the weekend. We will also want to make sure that you understand that Saturday is going to be the better day for outdoor activities. Sunday may be the lesser day. And we'll time those out also with the newest data that's coming in. Warren will have that for you at 3:30. And then Luke will be back here in a couple hours and give you an update on that also. So have a great rest of your afternoon. Appreciate you watching.